have a vacant house here, the blue house, tan, gray, pink, so that's 4 in a row.
Parts of our metro are still segregated in terms of race and wealth.
The socioeconomic division in Kansas City and nationally is huge.
So, in the future, how can we ensure that no kids are left behind?
If we do not invest in our children, then the future of our society is at risk.
The future will hold many challenges for our children. Artificial intelligence is on the rise.
It's going to massively change the way that we think about work and should urgently change what we're doing in schools.
Automation will claim many jobs, and the new careers will require students to have a solid academic foundation.
Proficiency is not just enough. They need to have an advanced understanding of language and mathematics.
But too many American students already are falling behind.
Our schools were not built to get to the heart of each individual kid, and that's a problem.
In the last international assessment, US students achieved mediocre scores, with many other countries doing better.
And we're losing so many of them to apathy and boredom.
But socioeconomic status also played a part. Equity in education in the US has improved, but our poorer students were still 2.5 times more likely than their richer peers to do badly in the international tests.
So just imagine growing up in communities that are surrounded by poverty, crime, blight, hunger, trauma, and then you have to show up at school and try to learn.
And research shows that certain school districts, on both sides of the state line, have a large majority of low-income students. Segregated districts like this may make it harder for those students to catch up with their richer peers.
When I say there are communities that are doing well, those are wealthier communities that are segregated and doing well. The poor communities are not.
In many of the low-income areas, most of the population are from racial and ethnic minorities.
Low-income African Americans and Latinos.
So most of our students are learning English as their second language.
But if offered the right support, there's no reason why students from low-income backgrounds can't excel.
I am a child of a mother who was a single mom, and she has 6 kids, and we grew up in an area similar to this. And all of my mother's children have graduate degrees and professional careers.
But socioeconomic background still restricts the opportunities for many kids. So what can schools do to make sure that no one is left behind?
Our students are being provided breakfast, which is really important because a lot of our kids live in a food desert.
And it helps me throughout the day to get my good classwork done.
Whatever is necessary, whether it mean adding on a few more minutes in English class.
This year we added a social worker.
We're going to focus on developing positive relationships.
Parent education.
Because when a child feels they're in a space where it's okay to make mistakes, that is where real learning happens.
There are many parents out there who don't know how to advocate for their children.
To not leave kids behind also just takes skill on the part of teachers.
Make sure that we are supporting teachers.
So I think I had 11% turnover last year, which is a really good year, and we are seeing the benefits of it.
And schools have got to make sure they're equipping students with skills relevant to the new world of work we're entering.
Problem solving, creativity, innovation, those soft skills, 21st century skills, if you will.
Where we learn to address communicating with ourselves and communicating with others, where we learn to be okay with being who we are, no matter the environment.
But the development of important practical skills may require better facilities.
This style of learning where we have hands-on and we have a little bit smaller class sizes could be applied across other schools. It's just a matter of are resources available, funds available.
Schools may need outside help.
It takes the village. It takes everyone working together. It takes everybody in the community.
Today we have a boot camp welding class going on.
Specialists from the world of work can have a big impact on students. The non-profit Minddrive works with over 100 students from 31 schools across the metro, and many of its mentors are volunteers.
I am currently a mechanical engineer. I work with robotics, automation, so we share that kind of knowledge with these students.
Minddrive isn't alone. Another non-profit, Prep KC, also wants to connect volunteers from business with students.
Even those short interactions of 20 minutes or half an hour can really change lives. So we invite professionals from across the region. What we say is, share your story and change a life.
In order to even out the opportunities for kids across our metro, a collective effort is required. If we get it right, leaders may yet emerge who'll correct the growing inequalities and the systemic unfairness that plague our society.
It's creating voice and a critical lens within our children so that when they become adults, they're using their voice to actively dismantle things that are going on in this world.
I can't imagine a future where people aren't left behind, children, poor, disenfranchised, disaffected communities. But my hope is that in our community here in Kansas City, we position ourselves to be different, to do better by our children.